Welcome to RSO Essentials. My name is Tony Sancio. I'm Assistant Dean here at Saginaw Valley State University. And today I'm going to be covering the basics of being a registered student organization here at SVSU. Before we begin, I have some housekeeping items to cover. I am often asked who should be attending the RSO orientation, and my recommendation is for all the executive board members should be attending. We require at least one member of your RSO to complete the requirements, but the more people in the room that know the answers to this essential information, the more successful your organization is going to be. If there's only one person in the room that knows the following information, your RSO is going to run into a lot of unnecessary hurdles for your RSO completing even the most basic tasks. Which leads me to the next point. I strongly recommend you share what you learned today with all your members. They might not need the information today, but they are potentially the next wave of executive board members for your organization. And your organization depends on them knowing how to run a student organization. So I highly encourage not only have your executive board watching this, but also share this information with your members. Next, attendance is being tracked using an Office 365 form. So watch the full orientation is great, but to get credit, you need to have at least one member of your organization to complete the quiz with 100% prior to Sunday, September 12th. Here is a QR code for the quiz. If you're watching live, you'll also see that in the chat. In addition to having a member attend the orientation, completing the quiz, all RSOs are also required to re-register their organization once a year. It is simply a pulse check just to make sure your organization is still active, and that is also due September 12th. Now moving on to the actual orientation. So these are the 7 keys to success for our student organizations. I've been doing this presentation for a number of years, and every year I change and add things or remove other things, but really I have it boiled down. These are the 7 things every student organization needs in order to be successful. The first one is determine your destination. What are your goals for the organization? What do you want to accomplish? Number 2 is recognizing and utilizing your resources. We provide a lot of resources for our student organizations, but we want to help you recognize them and be able to utilize them better. Number 3 is building on your success year after year. So there's always a transition of executive board members and student organizations, but we want to help you build on your success year after year and grow the organization and not feel like you're starting all over again every single year. Number 4 is the Office of Student Life Communication. So there's a few different ways that our office communicates to our student organizations, and we just want to clarify those with you. And number 5 are the promotional opportunities. So there's a lot of different ways of promoting on campus, and we just want to help you walk through those options. Number 6 is an SVSU Engage walkthrough. So we'll show you what it looks like to be an executive board member of a student organization, how to reserve rooms, how to update your roster, how to re-register the organization, all that sort of stuff. And number 7 is managing your money. So we're going to be talking about your agency account and different ways to spend your money. The first key to success for your organization is to determine your destination for your organization. In other words, what does your organization want to accomplish? Here is a list of some examples of what your organization can adopt for its purpose. It could be one of those things, multiple, or a totally different list. It's up to you. Once you have the purpose for your organization decided by the whole executive board and vetted by the members of your organization, you can start developing SMART goals to accomplish that mission. Let me emphasize that this does need to be done as a whole group and as a team. One way to quickly lose members is to not have a shared vision of what the organization's purpose is. And it can have multiple, but leaders of the organization have a responsibility to consider what the members want to do. If you do not agree with the executive board and the General Assembly, you need to have a conversation. And conversations go both ways. The leaders need to be willing to listen to the members. We recommend setting SMART goals for the organization as a team. SMART is the abbreviation of specific, measurable, achievable, result-focused, and time-bound. A common question I am asked is, what length of time can SMART goals be set for? And I encourage student organizations to set goals for any amount of time. Do not feel limited just by your term as an executive board member. You can set a goal for the week, the month, the semester, year, or multiple years. Don't feel limited just by your term as an executive board member. And who should be included in developing the SMART goals? Just to reemphasize, all members should be included in the development of the goals. It helps members feel included in the direction of the organization and feel like they're part of making it become reality. So highly encourage to include all members in the development of the SMART goals. Number 2, utilize your resources. So here are the 5 different resources we encourage RSOs to utilize. The first one being your advisor. Your advisor can be a great guide, but only if you use it. I often hear from advisors that they do not hear enough from their organizations and are just waiting for an invitation to attend meetings. So I encourage you guys to have a very positive relationship and communicate often with your advisor. The next one is the RSO transitional binder. This includes a lot of how to run a student organization at SVSU. I'll be covering that more in depth in just a moment. The RSO handbook, which is the rules and policies set by the university and the state of Michigan. Again, I'll be covering that in just a moment. SVSU Engage, this is the room reservations and promoting events on campus, file sharing, creating your own forums, having an active roster of your members, and publishing news articles. I'll be doing a walkthrough of SVSU Engage. Student life staff, if you still have questions and you don't know where to start, just ask us. I genuinely want to meet every RSO and personally assist you with your goals. I want to hear about your difficulties that you're facing. I want to figure out solutions for you. Here's the link to schedule a virtual meeting with me. Please keep it to normal business hours, 8 a.m. to 4 o'clock, Monday through Friday, but I'm very flexible. I genuinely mean I do want to meet every student organization and get to know you guys and help you with your goals. Just a friendly reminder, if you are following along with the quiz, you should be on question 6, which asks, select all the resources your RSO is encouraged to use. Continuing on utilizing your resources, this is the transitional binder, and this is the how-tos of a student organization. This includes some general information, forms and contracts. This includes the RSO handbooks, the rules and policies, and also some optional documents that you can include in here are best practices for RSOs. So these are additional articles that I've written to help some of the more finite things with running a student organization, including how to run an effective meeting and how to keep an updated calendar, budgeting, that sort of stuff. The recommended documents to keep include your meeting minutes, your agenda, your receipts, event reservation information. All the history of your organization is kept in this binder. And I include you guys to fill it with as much information as you can. Even if you do not feel like it would be very useful information, let the next executive board that has this transitional binder make that decision of what to keep and what to throw away. You might be surprised to find what information is very useful for new members of your organization. You will find, if you're an executive board member for long enough, that you run into the same conversations every single year. For example, cards party of scheduling, who registered for us for a table, how long, who's going to be working it, do we have supplies at the table, how are we doing sign up? Stuff like that is stuff that RSOs talk about every single year. So this transitional binder can be a helpful way to look into the past, but also kind of look into the future as well. So it's a very useful tool and encourage all student organizations to utilize it. If you were not provided a transitional binder by your previous executive board, we have a document that you can download and start creating your own transitional binder and create that history for your organization. Next is the RSO handbook. This is the rules and policies of being a student organization. So this is a very useful tool if you have questions about important dates, contacts, the benefits of being a student organization, university services, and your responsibilities as an organization and during events. So when we reference the rules and policies of your organization, we're referring to things that are included in the handbook. We link this very often in the event reservation form, but this should also be included in the transitional binder. All students should be at least familiar of what this document contains. You don't have to be able to cite it directly and memorize the whole thing, but at least be familiar of what different topics we cover in the RSO handbook. Number 3, build on your success year after year. A big part of being a successful organization is planning ahead. Unfortunately for student organizations, you'll be transitioning some, most, or all your executive board members every year. In order for your organization to build and grow after every year, it is important to train the next executive board. If you feel like you were not trained for your position, use that as a motivator. Make sure when it comes your turn to train the next leader, you do a better training than what you were provided. I recommend the 2 weeks notice model. Just like in a professional setting, when you are leaving a job, you provide your employer with a 2 weeks notice of your last day. RSO should set up elections, very similar model. Provide at least 2 weeks of transition from the previous executive board to the new. For example, if your executive board elections are held on January 9th, do not have them take effect for 2 weeks, which would be January 23rd. During this transitional period, the newly elected executive board has the opportunity to shadow and ask questions of the previous executive boards. I encourage you guys, promise yourselves that you'll pass on this knowledge. You will train the next executive board members on everything you learned from your experience as an executive board. Again, set goals that extend your term as executive board members. The next executive board can choose to continue, alter, or completely change those plans. It's up to them. But set your organization up for success of building year after year and having these multi-year goals. Number 4 is student life communication. There are 3 different ways that the Office of Student Life communicates to student organizations. The first one is RSO Updates, which is a monthly newsletter sent via email that highlights some of the big things to be aware of for that month. The second one is SVSU Engage Alerts. So there are alerts that are located on the home page. And number 3 is RSO Support, which is the SVSU Engage page that is built as a resource for our student organizations. RSO Updates is a monthly newsletter highlighting the most important updates from the Office of Student Life. It is geared for our student organizations. In addition, if RSOs have anything they would like to share with other student organizations, we can include your message. For example, Battle of the Valleys and Relay for Life have been included in the past. This newsletter is sent out to RSOs based on your roster on SVSU Engage. The positions listed here are automatically added to the mailing list. There's also an elective sign-up list. So if you have a member that does not hold any of the positions listed here, they can also sign up for it. There's a button at the top of the newsletter, so an easy way for them to sign up is for you to just forward them a copy of the newsletter and they can sign themselves up. I highlight the new information in the new announcement section, and I include information that was sent out previously but still relevant for this month in the reminders section. So when you get these emails, just open them up, check the new announcements header, and make sure you're up to date on the most important information for that month. The next way that the Office of Student Life communicates with our student organization is the alert system on SVSU Engage. So when you first open up SVSU Engage on the home page, you'll see these different yellow boxes that populate. These are different things that we're making sure that you are very much aware of for that month. We try not to utilize them too much because they're kind of an eyesore, but just when you log into Engage and you see these alerts pop up, make sure you are aware of these alerts. And the third way that the Office of Student Life communicates to RSOs is through RSO Support. RSO Support is a page that is set up as if it is a student organization, but it is a resource for our leaders of student organizations. It includes event reminders, files, forms, and news articles that are written to be helpful, such as frequently asked questions, how to check your agency account, and allocation information. Number 5, promotion opportunities. I am often asked by RSOs, what are all the different ways of promoting on campus? So I created a smart form that gives you all the different options and gives you additional information based on which options you select. It also includes the ways that you submit through the weekly event blast, as well as the Valley Nights pre-movie slideshow. The Office of Student Life oversees the top section of the promotional opportunities, while the Student Association manages potty postings and the Valley Vanguard has their own ads in their newspaper. So if you have any questions on the event blast, the postings around campus or the chalking policy. The campus promotions form gives you additional information on those. But if you want to be included in the event blast or the Valley Nights pre-movie slideshow, it'll actually ask you questions, and that's how you submit for the event blast. The Office of Student Life is working on a new social media committee. So check your RSO updates for more information on how we can collaborate our social media platforms to advertise your events or your organization. Moving on to the SVSU Engage walkthrough. When you become an executive board member for your organization, you might notice that you have a few additional settings available to you. I will have some additional settings on top of that, so please ignore those for this demonstration. So to get to your RSO's Action Center, my way that I recommend is scrolling down to your different memberships and finding the organization that you want to change. I'll be using RSO support as an example. So if you click there, at the top right there, there'll be the gear that says Manage Organization. This option is only available if you are listed as an executive board member for that organization. So if you don't have those rights, you're not listed here as an officer, that's why. If you need to extend those rights, I'll show you how. So I click here, and it opens the RSO's Action Center. And I like to tease this page a little bit because there's not actually a lot of action happening here. But if you select here at the top left, this menu, it opens this window and it has all the action items listed here. So the first one is the roster. So within rosters, where you can change all the current members of your organization and change the privileges that they have. So for example, if I want to change Abby McMahon's privileges within RSO support, click the pencil right here, and I'm able to assign her any one of these different positions. And you might notice that your organization is vice president and treasurer and SVSU advisor, but this RSO room reservations point of contact and this RSO primary point of contact, these are custom positions that are created for this organization, and you could do the exact same thing up here at the managed positions. Within here, you can create positions custom for your organization. So if your RSO has different names for their officers or presidents or anything like that, you can update that up here. Moving on to pending. So these are invitations to students to join the organizations. Prospective are people that have requested to join your organization. So Samuel Johnson, for example, I'll go ahead and hit approve. And then terms and conditions. So if you want to set terms and conditions for joining your student organization, you can set that here as well. And up here at the top right is how you invite members. And here is a messaging tool to be able to message people within your organization and the primary point of contact. So currently for RSO support is listed as myself. Moving on to the About section. So the About is all the outward facing information for your organizations, the name, the description, your profile photo, contact information. And I don't actually recommend having this information, especially your address and all that sort of stuff, because that's going to be standard for all the student organizations. It's going to populate, it's not going to look great. Moving on, if you have any external websites that you want to refer members to, so a lot of organizations that are national chapters, you could do that here. And agency account number. So I'll mention later during the presentation of where you can find your agency account number, and this is where you'll be able to find it. Don't forget to hit the blue button to update all the information that you have input. Moving on to events. So this tab is a list of all the events that have been approved and how you create events. This will not display pending event reservations. In order to do that, you need to go to your account, submissions, events, and this is where all of your event submissions are visible. So if another member submits a request for, say, General Assembly meetings, only that student can view it while it's pending. Once it's approved, it'll be visible within here. But this is where you go to create an event. Moving on to news. So news articles are basically web pages for your organization's page. It's a great way to be able to share information with your current members and with the student body. So you might see here, these are all different news articles, and some of these might not actually be very familiar to you because they're actually not public. So you can actually share You can post things that are only visible to current members. You can post things that are visible to all students, or you can have things not even published and visible at all. So I actually have a very useful article for this, news articles. It's a very powerful tool at your disposal to be able to use. So actually, here's a news article if you're interested in learning more about news articles. Gallery is uploading photos for your organization, and I'm not going to try to build it up to be more than it is. It's not a Twitter, it's not a Facebook or Instagram or anything like that, but it is good for your organization to have at least some photos of your organization. So when people view your page, they see at least a few happy smiley faces, something inviting, something that helps people understand what your organization is all about. Moving on to documents. So SVSU Engage supports file sharing and creating folders to be able to put those files into. So it's a very useful way to retain information from year after year. I know some organizations use Google Docs, which is great if that's what you want to utilize. But unfortunately, those permissions and those accesses can be lost over time, especially if the organization goes inactive for a period of time. And we do have some organizations that go away for a couple of years, and then we get a new group of students that are interested in continuing the organization. Dumbledore's Army is a great example of that has come and gone a few times. By utilizing SVSU Engage's file sharing, all those documents are saved within SVSU Engage and are not lost to new members that come along. So highly encourage you guys to utilize SVSU Engage for file sharing, even if you want to save your minutes or agendas or anything like that. It's a great way to be able to do that. Next is forms. Forms are similar to files, but it's something that a student would fill out and that information would then be sent to another student. So for example, the campus promotions form is a form that we use to get information from students that are interested in having their events listed in the event blast, for example. SVSU Engage also has a place for you to track service hours. So within this, a member of your organization can log service hours for your organization, and you can go in here and approve it. We actually use this as a way of measuring how many service hours are done each year. So at the end of the year, we download the total service hours, kind of look through them and make sure they're all current and accurate. But it is a very useful tool for you guys to be able to track service hours, but also for the university to be able to track how many service hours are being done by our student organizations as well. Number 6, managing your money. First, we're going to cover what are agency accounts, how to update access, how to find your agency account number, and how to view your account online. First, agency accounts are sort of like bank accounts with the university. It is a secure location that will keep your money safe, but you do not earn interest on your accounts, and also you cannot withdraw cash as easily as a bank would normally allow. We do recommend you use your agency accounts instead of opening a separate bank account with, say, independent bank, because we will not know who has access to your separate bank account. If money goes missing, I'm very limited on what I can do to help you track that money compared to the agency account. So we highly encourage you to utilize your agency accounts. The only two people that will have access to your agency account and be able to view the accounts online and sign off money to be spent is the account manager, which is the student treasurer, and the account supervisor, who is the SVSU advisor. In order to change these roles, you must re-register the organization. Changing the treasurer role on SVSU Engage's roster does not alert me or give me all the information I need to be able to change that. So please note, the process does take some time to complete, a week or possibly multiple weeks. So do not assume that if you submit it overnight, that'll be changed by the morning. If you cannot find your agency account number, it is located in your RSO's About page in your RSO's Action Center on SVSU Engage. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of the About page, it should be listed there. To view the account online, the account manager or the account supervisor can view it by selecting the Employees tab, select Budget and Purchasing, and selecting Budget Selection. Here's an example for funds is the 29. And for this example, I'm using 810123 in the department section. You can also select the fiscal year if you want to view previous account history. Check requisition form. The first way that I'm going to cover on how to spend money out of your agency account is a check requisition form. This form is essentially a request for your check to be written on behalf of your organization to someone else or a business. Some important notes that I have to hit. The money does come from your agency account, so make sure you have money in it before issuing the check. And this form requires an invoice or receipt to be issued. And it requires the signatures from the account manager and account supervisor, your SVSU advisor. This form is most commonly used to reimburse members that have used their own money for the organization. For example, if you are having an event and need to purchase table covers, a member can use their own money to make the purchase, and your RSO can follow up with that member and reimburse them for their money. Another way of spending money from your agency account is a purchase requisition form. It is very similar to a check requisition. Instead, this is a request to make a purchase on behalf of your organization's behalf. Again, the money comes from your agency account, so make sure you have money in your account before issuing. This form requires a clear description of what you would like to purchase. An invoice or an example helps. And it requires signatures from your account manager and account supervisor. Most commonly, this is used to purchase t-shirts. SVSU has a great deal with the local screen printer, Saginaw Knitting Mills, commonly referred to as SKM. The university orders so many t-shirts that the university has a bulk discount with SKM. So before you go online and purchase custom t-shirts, make sure the price is competitive with what's already offered to you through SKM. One last reminder, just so everybody knows, RSO Leadership Orientation 22 will be taking place September 6, 2022. The reason I mention it now is every year I have some students, some RSOs that missed orientation and claim their organization was never told. So I'm telling you now, a year from today, I don't know if it will actually be virtual, but there will be a mandatory orientation next year. It always takes place the day after Labor Day. So mark your calendars, mandatory orientation, Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. Thank you for your time. I hope this was very useful for you. If you have any questions or comments, please write them in the chat. And if you're watching this on YouTube at a later date, email me at Tony Sanziola. Thank you very much.